Let me paint a picture. A carrier just received a notification that his lease payment is due today, Friday, March 6th. Great. He is a factoring company who has 24/7 funding. He's hauling freight and will deliver around 2 p.m. so he can get paid, use his earnings and put toward his lease payment. He drops off the freight, uploads the invoice, only to find out that he'll receive the funds in his bank account in 2 business days, meaning Tuesday morning at the earliest. That 24/7 funding was misleading, and now the carrier is in big trouble. Welcome back to the OTR blog video series. As you can expect, today we'll be talking about the phrasing of 24/7 factoring, 24/7 funding, instant payments, and the differences they can mean in the factoring industry. With numerous expected and unexpected expenses, that access to cash can be the difference of being able to pay your bills on time and going out of business. This creates the need for factoring, and even better, 24/7 factoring. Let's dive in to make sure everyone understands the differences, as it could mean paying your bill on time or going out of business. To simplify this conversation, we'll break down the typical invoice factoring process to see how 24/7 and instant payments apply to each of these scenarios. Invoice upload. This is the catch-all for most modern-day factoring companies, now that almost all factoring is done electronically through mobile apps and web portals, which really never stop running. Therefore, you can submit your invoices 24/7. This is where it becomes important for folks to dig just a little bit deeper, because just because you can submit an invoice 24/7, that doesn't mean much when it comes to receiving your payment. Submitting an invoice is the first and easiest step to the more complicated factoring process. Invoice review. This is the part where the real process gets going, and unless the factoring provider has some sort of automated invoice review process, then it can become a huge bottleneck, as they have to rely on people, which typically work from 9 to 5 on weekdays and don't work on holidays or at nights. Having an automated review process will streamline this, as it lets the invoices that are easily approvable be approved instantly, and lets the invoices that need another level of review by a specialist be flagged and added to a different human workflow. The phrase, "machines aren't replacing humans, just enabling them," works perfectly here. Humans can specialize on the more nuanced tasks, while machines knock out the easy ones. So choosing a factoring provider that has an automated invoice review process will decrease the time it takes for your invoice to be approved for payment. Next is the invoice approval stage, which goes hand in hand with the invoice review process, ensuring all needed information has been provided accurately. Once it has, getting that invoice approved as quickly as possible is critical. Again, a factoring company that has both an automated review and approval system, as well as a human-led team who can review and approve, will be better equipped to approve more invoices more quickly to get their carriers paid. Payment process. This kicks off the actual funding process, and it's important to note that there are typically a few different ways to get money from the factoring company to the carrier, and different speeds at which that actually happens. First, and most traditionally, is ACH payments. These are dependent on banking hours and typically take 1 to 2 business days. Next, you have wires, which are near instant payments, and these are becoming more and more obsolete as they are being replaced by other instant funding methods. And in OTR's case, Bolt. The payment process step is important because it's when the factoring provider actually begins the process of transferring funds from the factor to the recipient. This leads us to the last piece of the factoring puzzle: funds deposited. The method of payment will likely have a major impact on this. For example, selecting ACH that relies on banking hours, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, with no holidays, will take longer than an instant payment. So if you're in a jam and need funds Christmas morning, you may be SOL. Then you have many instant payment varieties from factoring companies, like Bolt from OTR, which allows users to get paid within seconds. Awesome. Sometimes. Bolt is great because you can get paid instantly to any bank account. However, that's not the case for every company. To take advantage of instant payments from several other factoring companies, you have to sign up for their bank account as well, where instant payments can only be deposited into that bank account. That bank account can come with other miscellaneous fees, exceptions, and other asterisks, which can be yet another hurdle in the funding process. So it's an instant payment, but only to certain bank accounts. So the water is still pretty muddy when it comes to 24/7 funding and instant payments, which is why we launched Truly Instant Funding last year. Truly Instant Funding puts those best case scenarios together. It's instant invoice uploads 24/7. It's instant automated invoice reviews 24/7. It's instant approvals 24/7. And it's instant payment processing 24/7. Funds being delivered into your bank account, any bank account, 24/7, 365. With OTR's Truly Instant Funding, you can upload your invoice and receive funds within minutes anytime, anywhere, giving carriers the financial control they need to get the very most out of their trucking business. That's truly instant funding, available for free to all OTR factoring clients. Learn more today at otrsolutions.com.